Welcome to the NBAV podcast. Welcome back to NBAV, the NBA Avenue podcast. And today we're going to mainly focus on the game that happened last night between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Sacramento Kings, because the Warriors obviously handled business against the Portland Trail Blazers like we would expect. The Trailblazers haven't won a game. Well, they'll win a game here and there, but for the most part of the last 20 games, they've lost nearly all of them. Whereas the Warriors are pretty hot. They're doing what they have to do, and surprisingly, they somehow managed to get into a three-way tie with the aforementioned Kings, and of course with the Los Angeles Lakers, who they've been going toe-to-toe with record-wise for most of the entire season, ending them off in a tie here with only 1 or 2 games to go. We're not going to talk much about the Jazz getting a win against the Rockets. Both teams are well out of contention. We're not going to talk even too much about the New York Knicks beating the Celtics, because who knows? Did the Celtics put their best foot forward? Did they not? Celtics fans will say they didn't try as hard as they possibly could have. Knicks fans will say you were trying and we're the better team. We beat you. And there's no real way to know, but it's a good victory for the Knicks, especially considering that the Knicks still have an opportunity to move all the way up to the 2 seed based on what happens between them and between the Milwaukee Bucks over the last couple of games here at the end of the season. But the main game, we're obviously not going to focus on the Bulls beating the Pistons, because who really cares about that? But the main game was the Pelicans against the Kings, where you had the Pelicans as the better team, and you had the Kings having the best player in the game. And I want to talk about De'Aaron Fox a little bit here, because there are some things that he has to do in order to unlock the next level of his game, and I think I have it pretty well pinpointed, where the Pelicans have a stronger team, even without Brandon Ingram on the floor. The Pelicans started off the game dominating with 3-pointers from Trey Murphy and also with some buckets inside from Zion Williamson. They were playing at times through Valanciunas. They had McCollum to turn to at the end of the shot clock. And they had, ultimately, it was really the top defense of Murphy and Jones. That 1-2 punch on the defensive end is very strong and very scary for opponents. You can really do a lot of damage when you have one of these, or even in their case, 2 of these top-tier defenders. Look at what Toronto has in Scotty Barnes, and look at what Indiana has in Pascal Siakam. Look at what Brooklyn has with Mikal Bridges. Look at what the Knicks have with OG Anunoby. When you have one of those guys, or in the Pelicans' case, when you have 2 of these guys, you have Trey Murphy and you have Herb Jones, these defenders who are very top-notch and very dependable in no matter what situation. They get a lot of steals, they put a lot of ball pressure, they have the length, and then they can also go down the other way and hit a 3-pointer. Very valuable players, and the Pelicans are very fortunate to have 2 of them on the same team at the same time. And then you couple that with having Zion and Valanciunas and McCollum and Alvarado coming off the bench, and then hopefully very soon having Brandon Ingram back. That's a very strong team. So I would say the Pelicans certainly have a better team than the Kings, especially now that the Kings are operating without who I would consider to be their second best player. Many people would consider him to be their third best player, but I'm talking about Malik Monk. And also without one of their better players in Kevin Huerter. Both of those guys are out now due to injury. So when you look at things from the Kings' perspective, their lineup consisted of course, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and then the up and down Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Keon Ellis, Davion Mitchell, and the guy who's not playing very well right now, Trey Lyles, Alex Len, and then a little bit of the rookie in Vezenkov, and a little bit of Duarte, but not really too much. He's had a very, very depressing season, a very underwhelming season for Duarte, where he's lost most of his playing time. He lost most of the time that he gets to play on the court and participate because he hasn't been playing very well. And the Kings have had a lot of those guys, really. Hasn't been a good season from Len. Hasn't been a good season from Lyles. But it was a game where, from the start, it was very obvious that the Pelicans had more going for them. They had more energy. They had better defense. They had better all-around scoring. But then on the other side, you had De'Aaron Fox, who was so far superior to anyone else in the ballgame. And that includes Zion. That includes everybody. De'Aaron Fox scored 33 points in 41 minutes. He also added 8 assists and 5 rebounds to that. A very well-rounded game. But where De'Aaron Fox needs to improve is not just in taking the responsibility and taking the game. Like, yes, could he have scored even more points? I think so. Could he have handled the ball with one of those high usage rates that we've seen from a James Harden and a Russell Westbrook back in their heyday? I think at this point, De'Aaron Fox should be. He should be handling the ball as much as Luka Doncic, because the way the Kings are currently constituted, losing a couple of their guys, they have no one who can really create outside of Fox. So I don't really think that the ball should be in Sabonis' hand for that many handoffs. I think it should be in Fox's hand 99% of the time for the Sacramento Kings, for Fox to create or assist, to create a bucket no matter what, whether that's him shooting or whether that's somebody else shooting. But he should have the ball in his hands every single possession. So where does he have to improve? He needs to improve on where to use his teammates. Because now you're looking at a Kings team where typically you would think that the team with the most talented player usually has a very, very good chance to win the game, but they don't win as many games as they should. Now, De'Aaron Fox, skill for skill, potential-wise, ability-wise, craftiness, shot-making ability, scoring from different places on the floor, he's one of the best in the league. If we can just pull up, just out of curiosity to see, let's go with the Ringer. Let's go with the Ringer top 100 NBA player rankings. Let's just see, for example, not that their rankings is the end-all, be-all. We all have our own rankings which all come down to a matter of opinion. But starting from the top with Jokic and Doncic, which is correct, that's the way it should be. Let's see how far we have to go to get to De'Aaron Fox. Let's see, they have him at 22. Now, that's certainly inaccurate, because he should be above Paul George, he should be above Zion Williamson, he should be above Donovan Mitchell, he should be above Tyrese Halliburton, he should be above this current version of Wembanyama, and in terms of ability, he should even be above Jimmy Butler. In terms of ability, he should probably even be above Jalen Brunson, and in terms of full impact on a game, he should be above LeBron James. So that's above Anthony Davis. We're talking about a guy who has the capability of being really one of the top players in the league. I would say that De'Aaron Fox is a top 10 talent in the league, but what he needs to do to put himself there is he has to figure out how to get the most out of his teammates. And it's not that he doesn't have good teammates. He does have players to work with. Keegan Murray is good. Harrison Barnes leaves what to be desired, because you think he's better than what he ends up showing consistently, but he's good. Sabonis, not as good as people think, but he's good. Keon Ellis is a good player. Davion Mitchell has had really good moments for them. Trey Lyles can certainly score. Alex Len is at least a 7-footer who can play for you. Vezenkov can clearly hit the three-pointer. Chris Duarte is not a guy who is a nothing, but he just hasn't had a good season. There's a lot of players on this team, even if you take Malik Monk out of it. And even if you take Kevin Huerter out of it, there's a lot to work with. But De'Aaron Fox can't just be a dynamic scorer. He has to be the leader. He has to turn into the player that Luka and Jokic are. He has to turn into the player that Brunson is in terms of getting the most out of your teammates and playing as a unit. De'Aaron Fox has all the ability in terms of his one-on-one and in terms of his skill and his ball handling and his shooting, and he can even become a better creator, but he has to learn his teammates and learn to play with them on the court in a way that he's going to get the most out of them, because the difference between the Kings winning another 10 games this season or losing another 10 games this season, the difference between the Kings being tied in the 8, 9, 10 range or being in the 3, 4, 5 range is how much De'Aaron Fox can get out of his teammates. That is the secret. That is the end-all, be-all for this Kings team, which starts with De'Aaron Fox and ends with him. And I think whatever his usage, I wish I could pull it up. I'm not going to try to do it on the spot, but to see the usage rates for the top usage rates in the entire NBA, I'm sure De'Aaron Fox would be pretty high up that list, but I think he needs to be all the way at the top. Absolutely all the way at the top, especially with Malik Monk out and with Kevin Huerter out, all the way at the top. De'Aaron Fox, when he's in the ball game, he needs to handle the ball more than a Steph Curry. He needs to handle the ball even more than a Luka Doncic right now, because Luka at least has Kyrie and Hardaway there. and a couple of other guys as well. But he needs to handle the ball as much as a Jokic, or more than a Jokic and a Murray, because Murray has Jokic. Jokic has Murray. He needs to be the number one usage rate guy in the NBA, De'Aaron Fox, right now. And look, you don't need to worry about what's to come, because if you don't win a couple of ball games here and get your way out of the play-in, or if you play the play-in game and you don't win, your season's over. So at most, or at least, not exactly sure how to say it, at most or at least, if depending on how far the Kings go, there may only be 4 more games left in this Kings season. The final 2 games of the year, or is it even just 1 game left? Let's see how many games the Sacramento Kings even have left on the season. It's 2 games. Every single team in the league has 2 games left right now. So Sacramento has the Suns and they have the Blazers. So, you can call that a split, or maybe Sacramento will win both. I don't think they'll lose both. They'll definitely beat the Blazers. So Sacramento may only have 4 games left on the year. If they drop to the 9 or the 10, they may only have 3 games left on the year, because they'll only be afforded that one chance play-in. And if they win that, then they would have another game. But there may only be 3 or 4 games left in the season. So what do you have to lose by putting the ball into the hands of your best player the entire game? I think that's where they have to go. Put the burden on him and see if he can play you into a playoff series. And who knows, maybe he'll get Monk back at some point, maybe not. But you need to try. You need to try empowering De'Aaron Fox to be that one of those Russell Westbrook, James Harden type usage numbers. So essentially for De'Aaron Fox, that's the way I see it. He has every ability. He has every skill. He has everything going for him. And it's just a matter of getting enough reps with his teammates and learning how to use each of those teammates as best as he can to get the most out of them and really become a unit. Become a unit like the Knicks or the Celtics. Become a unit like the Nuggets. Become a team like Dallas is starting to become. It's about becoming a team. And at this point, considering that they are a team who has a few pieces, but they're down in numbers with the loss of Monk and the loss of Herter, it's about becoming a team through utilizing De'Aaron Fox with the highest usage rates that we've ever seen in NBA history. That's the way to go out. Go out swinging. Go out relying on your best player. I can't think of any other way to go out after a season as tough as this than by saying, De'Aaron, you are the man. We're going to put the ball in your hands more than you've ever had it in your entire career, and we're going to live and die by you. And if we go out that way, it's okay. That's the way we want to go out, with the ball in your hands every single play. For virtually every minute of the 2 remaining regular season games, and for the 1 or 2 play-in games that we get. That's the way we want to go out. We want to live and die with our most talented player, someone who could be a top 10 player, if he just figures out how to utilize his teammates and become a team, rather than being the leader of a bunch of individuals who can do well and can also do poorly night to night. And that's basically been the season for them in a nutshell. They're a bunch of individuals who sometimes score and move up quickly, they move down quickly, they don't play well team defense, they don't play as well team offense as they can. And that's the difference between De'Aaron Fox becoming a top 10 player or becoming a top 20 player, where he's basically at 20, but he needs to make it to 10, and he needs to really make it to within 10, because that's his capability. He has one of the highest abilities that we've seen in the last few years in the NBA. He's right up there. He's right up there with anyone, because he can do everything. He just needs to figure out how to utilize his teammates, because he has pieces. He's not on. What about the Kings is that they've really been able to develop good talent in the last several seasons. They've made some good trades. They have a lot of pieces, and it's just about utilizing them and learning how best all the pieces go together with each other. And that starts with Fox, and that starts with empowering Fox and playing through him 100%. In the other games that we had, we already went through them, but where did things end up? It ended up with the Golden State Warriors, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Kings in this 3-way tie. They're in a three-way tie for 8, 9, 10. The Suns are in 7. They're 2 games up. There's only 2 games to go. Most likely the Suns are going to be in 7. The Pelicans are going to be in 6. Dallas in 5. Clippers in 4. That could flip-flop, but either way it would be the same matchup. Thunder in 3. Timberwolves in 2. Nuggets in 1. It's just a matter of Kings, Warriors, Lakers in these last couple of games. How is it going to turn out? For Golden State, it'll be they have a game against the Pelicans and a game against the Jazz. The Lakers have a game against the Pelicans and a game against the Grizzlies. So an easy one and a hard one, an easy one and a hard one. And for Sacramento, let's see who their final 2 games are. It is the Suns and the Blazers. So each of those teams, the Lakers and the Warriors, each have a game against the Pelicans and then an easy one. And the Kings have a game against the Suns and then an easy one. So it's going to come down to what happens in these final games to determine who's going to get the leg up in that 8 seed and who's going to be in the 9-10. And it comes down to this. The Kings didn't expect to be here. The Warriors didn't expect to be here at the beginning of the year. The Lakers didn't expect to be here at the beginning of the year, but they've kind of seen the way things have gone for a while. Although the Lakers briefly rose up and moved in front of the Kings, now they're back in this tie. And it's a long time coming for these 3 teams, but none of them expected to be here at the beginning of the year, and they have very few chances to play themselves out of the position that they're in and back into the firm playoff contention. Nothing has changed in the East. The Heat are where they've been for a long time. The Sixers have kind of settled in around 7. The Pacers at 6. The Magic have lost a couple. They're in 5. The Cavaliers trying to grab a hold of anything they can and stop from falling further. They're at 4. The Knicks at 3, threatening the Bucks at 2, and the Celtics at 1, despite the loss. And that's what we have. We have a full episode about basically what De'Aaron Fox has to do from here and what the Kings have to do from here out. And it'll be between them, the Lakers, and the Warriors with 2 games to go. Who do I think is going to get it? If you asked me, I don't, without factoring in all the tiebreakers, I think Golden State can win the last 2. I think that the Lakers will win 1, but I don't know if they'll win both. And Sacramento, don't know if they'll beat the Suns. And Sacramento's final game, the final game for Sacramento against the Blazers, they'll win. But I think the Warriors can win both of these and take it. I think the Warriors have the ability to do it. They're the team that's playing the best right now. They've won 3 in a row versus where the Kings and the Lakers have each lost 2 in a row. I think conventional wisdom says the Warriors will get the 8 and force the Kings and the Lakers to battle it out in 9-10, whereas the Warriors could potentially get to play the Suns in the 7-8 and take advantage of that and maybe be the 7 seed when it's all said and done. As always, you can follow the show at NBA Avenue on every platform that you can listen to, that you like to listen to podcasts, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of the others. And of course, follow us on Twitter at NBA Avenue. We are your source for a great time every time. And until next time, we are out.